What if Deku was Tierk from My Little Pony? We start this off where we left off. Endeavor had gotten, obliterated by Deku. He was completely incinerated by the blast. All Might was injured. Tierk got away. His henchmen got away. And the winner of the auction house for that day was Overhaul. So we go back to Deku meeting with his colleagues. I see everyone's here. Controller, Inferno, the other security guard, which I will remember his powers in a moment, and the other two. So who won the auction house? I didn't stay to see who won the item. Overhaul is willing to pay almost $1 billion for it. The Overhaul Group. Interesting. Will he be coming to our little meeting for the exchange of items? Yes, sir. He should be bringing the cash with him. Good, good. I will be there myself. Prepare everything for the meeting. What about the heroes? They've been more active. They've now deemed our work villainy. We've been doing some shady stuff. It was about time they were about to find out anyway. But it doesn't matter, because we were going to reveal ourselves momentarily anyway. Controller asks, "What do you mean, sir?" As he then pulls like a board. Listen up, everyone. We will simply, here's the plan. As he goes over a few things on the board. And remember, we are gathering all of the items necessary. We have our own supplies, workers, and a few people that owe me favors. As Tierk Deku has been planning things out ever since his escape from the prison, I believe it was Tartarus. He's been planning to destroy the society. Putting pieces in places. Just waiting until he had enough power to do something. But now that he's absorbed so many quirks, he's now at the peak of his power at the moment. And don't forget, one hero I want alive and you'll bring me to him is All Might. Why All Might, sir? I would love to drain and devour his quirk. It seems like a very interesting one. What about All for One? Yes, I know that guy's still alive. We'll deal with him as well when he decides to show himself, but for now, he's just a big coward. Letting grunts do his dirty work. That's not how I do things. As Tierk actually does a lot of his jobs with himself, and minions, of course. But like the big jobs, like big tasks, he does personally. Like, the LOV guarantee they would have gotten more notoriety if All for One showed up. But then again, he was kind of planning all that, but whatever. What Tierk says, he wouldn't... What I'm trying to say for what if Deku was Tierk, he would have shown up to the USJ if he was a part of the LOV, but he's not. So, what favors are you pulling in, sir? A few Hero Safety Commission people that owe me favors. The ones that were let out of Tartarus as well as during the escape. Which none of them have been found thanks to Tierk destroying evidence of their escape. Now, here's things we need to go over. You need to gather such supplies. I need you to cut off the docks. I don't want any heroes entering or leaving the country. And you, Controller. Yes, sir? Cut off the connection to communication all throughout the country. You want me to go to the communication plant? Yes, I want you to cut all communication. To the outside. I can't let any heroes bring in any outside support, you see, for my plan to work. I'll have it done. I'll set a few men and I'll head there myself. When will Overhaul arrive? It looks like he's due to arrive in about 10, 20 minutes. Good. Now come along. As they go to the meeting area where they're going to meet, well, Overhaul. As Overhaul and his men come walking in. As Overhaul looks around and sees a lot of, just common criminals working under Tierk. Nothing impressive. How did this guy even become big in the black market? As one of his subordinates, I heard he's able to take quarks, or absorb them at least. Well, that explains it. His quark got him to the top. Ugh. As he, rolls his eyes as they enter the room. As they bring in briefcases. Well, it seems like you're on time. Good. I don't like anyone being late. As Overhaul sits down, you have the device. As Tierk is holding the device in his hand. You mean this thing? Yes, that. First off, hand over the money and I give you the device. No, you hand over the device and I'll hand over the money. No, Overhaul. I've done my research. I hand you the device, you kill everyone in this room. Bam, you get what you want. And you keep your money. Then what's stopping me from doing that right now? You might want to check on your boys outside. As a guy that had a visual quirk comes in and does a protective visible as some of, Deku's elite guard, which were the two other people that didn't go anywhere. And I'm gonna say we got Storm, a person that's able to control storms itself, and Toxin. Toxin is basically a person that can cover himself in poisons and all that and create poison items, as his men outside are all lying on the ground. So I would reconsider your proposal here, Overhaul. After all, I'm the one that has. As he snaps in a whole bunch, and I mean the whole room gets filled with just thugs, groups of people that follow Tierk for basically fear reasons. Because these guys don't really they have some modest respect for Tierk, but they're also afraid of his, stealing their quirk aspect of Tierk. Deku. So what is it going to be? You hand over the money, you get the device, you walk out of here scot-free, or you attack us, possibly defeat all my men, die in the process. That's odd. The only people I see right here to be the biggest threat is you, as he touches the table and turns it to spikes. Overhaul. As he says that, the spikes break on contact with Tierk Deku's skin. You fool. I gave you an opportunity to walk out here with your pitiful quark of yours. But let's see how you do without it. As Tierk stands up, way taller than Overhaul, and simply goes to grab him, as of course one of his 8 fingers jumps in the way, tries to shoot him with a, quark erasing bullet. Tierk's skin is really tough. That bullet's not penetrating, as it just hits and flings off. What was that, a fly? As he then just punches the 8 finger that shot it, sending him flying through walls as his skull was caved in, killing him instantly. As Overhaul will attempt to try to get away, is when then someone comes in and kicks him back, while all of his other grunts, minions are fighting Tierk's villains, thugs, getting beat because Tierk does not really like weaklings. He'll use weaklings to get what he wants. But if you're going to stay and serve him, you're going to get harsh training. Because, in my perspective of Tierk, he's a person that doesn't really appreciate you at all. But he will admit your power which has been seen before. Oh, you're such a weakling. As he goes over to try to touch Deku with his arm, Overhaul tried. Deku just lifted one of his hooves and just broke his arm with his hoof. Ah, tisk tisk. As Overhaul tries to touch his, hoof that is on top of his broken arm now, as we just see Deku open his mouth, and you can see him draining Overhaul's quirk as it leaves his body. A bit mattery, but whatever. As Overhaul tries, he just grabs his hoof, as he realizes not dismantling or blowing up. What'd you do? Oh, what? I simply just took your quirk. And I want to just imagine this for a second, because if Overhaul had this ability, he would probably be able to come back on top as his evil villain in the My Hero universe. He could have, if his feet could have done the same thing his hands could he theoretically just restructure his hands? That's just a theory I wanted to bring up. But anyway, as Overhaul is screaming out because his quirk is gone, he is terrified. And we see Tierk lean down. I had a little bit of high hopes for you, Overhaul. Maybe we could have been partners if you decided another way. But I do not serve anyone lower than me. You really thought I was going to hand you the device? As he looks over, how is the money? All of it's here, sir. Good. Now, if you'll excuse me, that EMP or whatever my boys are playing up should be going off momentarily. As Overhaul looks up. Now, I will tell you this, though. I'll let the little girl in your, base that's currently being overrun. As he snaps, as the person with the, viewing quirk comes up and shows Overhaul's base being raided by Tierk's men. Tisk, tisk, tisk. You even lost those quirk erasing bullets, as he goes into Overhaul's pockets and grabs them. This could be useful. But unfortunately, they won't work on me. As he puts them in his pocket. Now, I would like to say, everyone, you have done well. So I'm going to give you all a raise. As everyone looks over. Your raise is when we take over Japan. You get to raid the banks first. As all of the thugs in the room start to cheer. And do we have any artists in the room who prefer the museums? Other than myself, of course. As not really an answer from anyone. Alright, suit yourselves. As then, he's about to leave when Overhaul grabs his foot. Oh, I thought you died of blood loss already. As Overhaul looks at him with hatred in his eyes. As he simply just looks over before, someone touching his head, as we can see his... No, this is going to get a little bit gory right here. As poison spreads over his face, as his literal face starts to melt because of all the poison. Good work, Toxin. As he bows, of course, sir. It would be an honor to get rid of this pest for you. Now, next stop, where should we go? We do have people that would prefer to take down the Hero Safety Commission first. As he gets a call, Controller, have you finished your part of the plan? Yes, sir. I have cut off all communication to the outside. They have not noticed or caught on yet. Alright, time to check on Inferno. Inferno, how are you? Please tell me you have it done, or else I'm gonna have to go to the docks myself. No, sir. I've cut off all types of sea ventures. I've already taken care of. As we go to his point of view, as Inferno is looking back at the pile of corpses of heroes that were at the docks, have been eliminated, and all vessels have been told to not transport for the next week. Good. Next up, UA. as he simply just crushes the phone, ending the call with Inferno. As Inferno is confused, as he's looking at his men, did he just crush the phone on me? As the men just like, Anyway, back to the plan. Remember, we have to make sure no one gets past us. Can't let anyone try to escape Japan. Essentially. As we now go back to Tierk, and his amount of villains are just walking through the street, heading towards the, well, really near the Hero Safety Commission building, then to UA. As we get to the Hero Safety Commission building, which is already under attack as, well, some of his people were already there. And his allies that were formerly Hero Safety Commission people, also Lei Nagan, kind of already started their attack on the Hero Safety Commission. Of course, several heroes come running out. I'm gonna say Hawks is there. Hawks, as Tierk looks up at him. So you are the leader of this attack? Yes. As then, well, Hawks gets shot in the arm as he falls to the ground. As Tierk puts his hoof on his head. Ooh, just one shot and you went down. As he looks over and sees Lady Nagant. Now, as he's about to, well, technically just squish Hawks' head, Lady Nagant stops Tierk. Tierk! As he raises an eyebrow and looks towards Lady Nagant. Let him go. May I ask why? Just some personal business I have with him. Fine, I'll let him go, but I'm not letting him be a nuisance to me anymore. As he lifts Hawks up, opens his mouth, and absorbs his quark whole. As we see the feathers on his back turn into nothing like pretty much essence as Tierk absorbs it. I gotta say, chicken was gotta be the best taste for your quark. As he then tosses him into a dumpster. He's all yours, Lady Nagant. Now, Tierk turns around. As he turns around, he sees a portal open up, as several of his men have been defeated, as Nomus are now appearing all throughout the street. Of course, it can't be that easy. As, of course, the League of Villains, all for one, and bunches of Nomus start appearing. I'm sorry, but this wasn't part of my plan, but it seems like this operation is now going to be taken over by me. Surrender! Join my cause, Tierk. After all, you are the leader of these villains here. You surrender over to me, work for me, can destroy this society. As, of course, the heroes gotta show up at this time, too. As we see them going through the villains, Nomus, and all that. As it's basically a three-way standoff. Of course, they gotta be here as well. You know what? Fine. How about this? As Tierk then just grabs a piece of rock and chucks it out all for one. As all for one just uses like a air shield or something. And blocks the attack. Very well, I'll just take that absorbing quark of yours. As he sends tendrils at Tierk, which he just swats them away like it was a fly. As of course All Might comes in here and starts battling All for One. You know what, I'll let them handle things as he turns back to the hordes of Nomus and heroes. Let's pick up this mess. No need, sir, as we see a person covered in electricity come down. Storm, allow me, as he puts his hand out, as then a huge storm cloud appears over, striking every Nomu hero in the area. As several of them fall down either dead or unconscious. Good work. Of course, Tierk. And we go to Controller, who, well, the heroes are now raiding the site because they notice they lost communication with the outside. As several villains are scrambling through the place. Sir, the heroes have busted in here. Oh, don't worry. As we see Controller setting up something, just keep them occupied for a moment. Yes, sir. As the man that he was talking to in charge, other than him, other than controller. You. Okay, everyone in this room, except the ones doing the important task. Come with me. We gotta delay the heroes as much as possible. As they start running towards the heroes, which are outside, to go help their outer defense. As controller and a few others are setting things up. So why are we setting these explosives? Duh, to make sure they don't get contact with the outside communication. Will other countries notice it? Not till it's too late and we have complete control of Japan. In that case, they can't do anything, because then it's controlled by Tierk. Smart thinking, sir. Go ahead and get everyone out of here. I gotta set up this last thing. Yes, sir. As the last remaining guys get up and, well, start escaping. Just there, as he then presses it, as then Aizawa comes in with a few heroes and cops. Surrender! As we see him raise his hands and turns around. That's it, get on your hands and knees. As he gets on his knees. That was easy. As he's walking by, he then turns to the side and sees explosives. As controller just smiles. As then the whole place goes up in a boom cloud. Like a smoke cloud. As the whole building exploded. As Aizawa got burned pretty heavily on the face. As we see, it's like everything except the floor controller was standing on fell. As we see, controller was, well, looking at the ground below him and controlling the ground below him, just keep him level. And he had pinpointed the exact spot to be where the fire from the explosions would not hit him. That's some smart thinking right there. As he looks at the ground where the building used to be, and just smiles. Yeah, heroes, you just came here for your own demise. As then he knows squirming in the rubble. It appears Aizawa managed to survive. You know what? Let's have some fun. As then he had basically lifted his thing covering his eyes and looks at Aizawa, who has like heavy burns. Yes. As then Aizawa gets up and starts walking back to UA. Tierk's gonna like this. As we go back to Tierk Deku, who's just now sitting on a building eating popcorn with Toxin, Lady Nagant, and Storm, who's just watching this fight with All For One and All Might. As they're tossing each other into buildings and all that. Hey, could you pass the butter? Toxin says. Sure, as Storm does. So why am I here exactly? Oh yes, you're technically one of my allies in this. So I thought you might want a front row seat to the fall of the entire system. So, ta-da, as he just points his hands out, revealing like the entirety destroyed of this city. Most of them by the fighting of the Nomu's heroes and Tierk's forces. As he's just watching buildings go up in smoke. All Might and All For One being ragdolled around by each other. Tierk just enjoying the view. I guess it's time I intervene. As then he opens his mouth and releases a huge blast. Hitting, well, All For One, sending him flying into a building. And that building explodes. That should deal with at least one of them for now, as All Might runs towards, well, Tierk. As Tierk just puts his arms up, grabs All Might's hand, and then just basically flings him into a building, destroying the building and causing it to collapse. Really, All Might, you must understand, we're on different power levels here. As then, of course, All For One tries to do a sneak, grab him by the back to try to steal his quark. And of course, Tierk Deku lifts his hind legs, just kicks All For One in his potato-looking face, sending him flying and landing on top of a taxi. Sneak attacks, All For One, really? I've done my research on you. You may have run the underworld, but you don't control it. As All Might tries to go and just punches him in the face. This time with like 100% or something. This actually lifts Tierk off the ground and sends him flying off the building. This leaving Tierk surprised before hitting a building as the building collapsed on himself. As he just moves the rubble. Okay, I admit you cracked quite a punch as All For One tries to go for a forward deadly attack at Tierk. You know what, I've had enough of this as he opens his mouth and absorbs the quirk All For One was using. As then he turns around, kicks Tierk in the face before jumping back. I don't feel that quirk anymore. Ah, yes, this is the difference between our power, All For One. You have to touch somebody. I don't. I can simply absorb their power. Although, some of it I prefer not to, 'cause it makes me stronger. As then he starts to glow like a fiery orange as he starts to grow bigger. As both All Might and All For One go to try to attack him. As Tierk prepares for this, is when then All Might just falls to the ground in his skinny form. As then All For One gets backhanded by Tierk. As All Might doesn't understand why he's in a skinny form, as he looks over and sees Aizawa, who has a burnt face, but is looking at him. Aizawa, what are you doing? Aren't we allies here? As then we see someone walking behind, well, Aizawa. Yeah, we're allies, but this guy's working for me now. You traitor! I wouldn't say he betrayed you, All Might. It's more like he's being controlled. Isn't that right, Controller? Yeah. I just have to keep my eye on him, and he's completely in my control. Good work. As of course, All For One thinks he can now get him while he's distracted. No. As Tierk just grabs skinny All Might and tosses him, hitting All For One in the face. You really thought that would work? Well, I think I have enough playing around with you two. As then out of nowhere, Tierk Deku got hit with a missile, sending him into a building that explodes. As he gets out of there, as he's covered in smoke, he coughs. Really? A missile? As then we just see like a little bit of the military comes in, which is now being bodied by Tierk's forces, but still. They saw Tierk as the most threat, so they fired a missile at him. I'm done with this. As he then just powers up a laser in between his horns and fires it, destroying several buildings, wiping out whatever military there was. And bam. This is shocks All Might, All For One. Most of his forces, the only ones that are not surprised, are his very loyal subordinates, being Controller, Storm, Toxin, Inferno, who is actually watching from above because he's near the port, and that other guy. You'll find out where he is later. But as Tierk Deku looks over at, well, All Might and All For One, I think it's time I end you. As All For One's brings all of his quirks together and throws a big punch, like the same punch he would give All Might in their final battle, pretty much. In the LV's base? Whatever. But pretty much that. As he throws it at Tierk, Tierk just winds up a punch and throws it as they two collide, creating a shockwave and even obliterating a building that was next to them. But Tierk, of course, with the amount of quirks he consumed while being in the prison, started to overpower All For One. And he's like, no! As then Tierk would eventually just push him down to the ground, basically obliterating the armful of quirks, as he had opened his mouth and absorbed all the quirks he had used in that attack. Thank you for the meal, I gotta say. For absorbing so many quirks at once, it really does give some flavor. But I think I'm done with you now. As of course, he tries to use one of his last remaining quirks to try to kill Tierk. But Tierk does not let that happen. Tierk Deku just simply looks at him and then burns this man alive. He's nothing but ashes. As All Might is on the ground, can't do anything. You'll pay for this. Someone will stop you, even if it's not me. Oh, as Tierk gets a closer look to All Might. Where were you when I needed your help so long ago? As this confuses All Might. What are you talking about? Ah, I guess you didn't know. Okay, someone grab me the footage. I need to show this man all the security tapes from the prison. Go on, fetch it. As one of the men just starts running off to go get it. Tie this man in a chair until I get back. As they tie All Might into a chair, kind of in a straitjacket, as Controller and Aizawa just stay there. Alright everyone, next up, let's go destroy UA. As All Might is like telling them, don't you dare. Oh, sorry. My mind has already been, well, guaranteed. And also, if you're wondering what happened to the LOV, yeah, Toxin kind of just wiped them out. Because none of them really have a counter towards a poison quirk user. And the only one I could think of is possibly Mr. Compress? That's about it. Or maybe Spitter, depending on what type of reptile he is. But anyway, back to the main canon part of the story. As they make their way towards UA, as of course the heroes there, some students are fighting the villains that were sent to, well, attack UA. As Tierk starts to make his way. As we go into UA, as the security system is mostly what's keeping most of the villains out. As we see, like, just one random security guard in there while all the heroes are out fighting the villains. So, buddy, how long has it been since the security system went online? Oh, just about an hour ago. We've currently held off for now, but there are so many villains. Hey, question, which button here is to turn it off? Oh, this one, but we're not going to be able to turn it off for a while. Thanks, buddy. As then he gets stabbed in the back of the head before falling over. As the guy moves him over. I gotta say, as it was a guy from Mutation Quirk, if I remember, it was, he had, like, one of the 4 security guards. Simply just presses the button, disarming all the security system, opening the gates. As the villains start to rush on in. As we just see him put his feet onto the control panel. My job is done. And without further ado, Tierk starts to walk towards UA. And he doesn't even bother to stand. He doesn't even bother to walk through the gates. Order everyone to just move aside. As they do so. As all the villains move aside, as we see several heroes up front. As most of the students have been evacuated to a safe area. Okay, this is going to be my last warning. As Class 1A is also out there fighting. I see that charges up a blast, which goes in between the heroes and the students, going straight into the building of UA and causing the massive explosion you see as the thumbnail. Now, does anyone want to continue fighting? As of course they charge towards Tierk. With some have lost hope because UA was destroyed and the disaster they've seen. As some rush towards Tierk but get eliminated by Storm or Toxin. And also, if you're wondering if the other guy in the building that was in the control panel is okay, he's on the roof right now. You don't see him, but imagine he's there. As we just now see the heroes and students got bodied, like, they do not stand a chance against Tierk and his forces, especially the students. But anyway, we go back to All Might as the guy finally finished setting up the tapes. Alright, everything is here. Like, I gotta go through the rebel of that place. Sorry, rubble. I'm sorry for my words, All Might. I'm just very new in Tierk's forces. Although, thanks to Tierk, I get to raid a bank and get all the money I want. Why do you help him? Tierk? You don't know. He's actually a really good boss, believe it or not. Once you get over the fear of his quirk and all that, he gives reasonable pay and all that. Of course, you fail this man, you're not going to so much like it, but hey, you just do as what he asks, you get off with pretty much what you want. I gotta say, that's kind of the boss I would like to be working for. Anyway, let's play the tapes, as these tapes will show him being in prison for some odd reason as a child, and going through the several years of him trapped in prison, etc., etc., as All Might now realizes this villain's backstory. Deku's backstory. As we now see Tierk behind him. Yes, but now do you understand, All Might? You're no longer needed. As All Might looks back before getting just splat on the ground. Tierk's fist literally crushed this man's head into the ground, destroying his skull and everything. Much better. Nothing else to worry about. All matters of a hero's villains have been out of my way. And, well, that is it for What If Deku Was Tierk. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. Remember to like and subscribe if you liked this episode.